Okay, hi everyone. So our group is Backstreet's Back, and we're going to be doing the summary for the chapter called A Return from the Bug. So the chapter begins with Roberta Walton, who is the narrator, discussing the punning programmers that she works with. So at first she believes that the reasons that puns are so widely used among the programmers is due to the ambiguity of a pun. And that's like, how one word has two meanings which are simultaneously understood. So that ambiguity greatly contrasts the work of a programmer because codes are super straightforward and like the meaning of a code is really rigid. And it makes sense for Walton to think that way because of her background in poetic language.
However, her opinion changes after interacting with the other programmers, and she realizes that puns are actually a metaphor for programming. And the programmers find enjoyment in speaking in puns because it's the programming of a conversation. In the novel, she says, "For the meaning of a pun is clear, all too clear. It demands a leap in understanding to the exact place of the punner demands. It's a programming of a conversation, like the GOTO instruction in code says. Go here, jump to this place unconditionally." Page 56 and 60. So Roberta is able to see that language can come in different forms and becomes accepting of their puns. The puns are a reference for technology. The contrast of her two ideas represent the conflict between her linguistic intelligence versus the programmer's logical mathematical intelligence.
Okay, so as the chapter goes on, she reflects back on her work in the linguistics of poetics. She studied the linguistics of poetics, which is the idea that the underlying language of structures of poetics are the same as those used in so-called non-creative prose, on page 55. Her studies had nothing to do with computer programming or anything technology related for that matter. And although she is passionate about her studies, the linguistics of poetics field doesn't provide many stable and well-paid jobs. So she left behind her 10 years of work in that field in order to work at her current company, which is Intelligentsia Software Universe. Before she gets hired, she is warned that her work in linguistics of poetics is pretty much useless to the company. On page 66, she is told there won't be any use for all that once you start working here. And she's bothered by this when she says, "I felt like he somehow wanted me to give up my PhD," to renounce it, on page 66. However, her need for a good job outweighs her 10 years of work in linguistics of poetics. And later in the chapter, Walton is able to find a parallel between linguistics and computer programming. Her understanding of this is what makes her valuable as a tester. And she also notes the way things are structured to have meaning. In this quote, prosody, the emotional life expressed through the mental structures of language, in the middle of page 65. And this portion of the chapter brings up the idea of how technology basically equals opportunities and success. She had to give up her own interests and passion to work in a technological field to make
money. Towards the end of the error, Walton finds a bug, UI 1017, and Levin never noticed it. When she asks Levin to fix it, he isn't able to recreate the bug, so he can't fix it. He says that it never exists. So Walton goes and finds proof of the existence of the bug, and just like, hey, here it is. Levin gets sort of upset, and it's very a big deal because the bug becomes a really big part of the book later. It's the bug, and Walton gets a lot of skepticism from Wallace because he refuses just to believe kind of how her side, since she's still new and doesn't have a lot of credit. And but through the whole situation, we're able to see that she's like really good.
Okay, so in conclusion, the chapter A Return really emphasizes three major technological aspects. The first one is Walton's linguistic and analytical intelligence in contrast to the flatline logical intelligence of the programmers. The second is the idea that technology equals success, and if you don't work in a technological field, then you can't have money. And the third is the importance of the return of the bug. Okay.
So that's our presentation on A Return.
Thank you. Bye.
Don't do drugs.